Hi everyone, this is another vinyl finds video. So this is some of the stuff I bought over the past month or so. I've managed to accumulate quite a lot of vinyl. First off, I think I might talk about a sort of a musical thread that continued on from my last video. I have been really into a lot of 50s, late 50s, early 60s rock and roll music. And I've been buying a lot of stuff of it on vinyl. I know most of it's singles medium. I mean, a lot of albums weren't particularly good. They were more or less compilations of sort of old material, but some of them are actually quite good. You know, like this one. This is Johnny Burnette and the Rock and Roll Trio. This was sort of Johnny Burnette before he became a pop star in the early 60s. I think he had a big hit with You're 16. This was him before he actually became a pop star. This album was a massive flop upon release, but it's got a really big cult following. A lot of the songs on here have been covered. I mean, their version of A Train Kept Rolling. Lonesome Train was covered a couple of times. Oh, what else? I mean, the Beatles love this record. Jeff Beck did. It's a great record because it's one of the earliest examples of distortion used on a record. That was back when musicians used it by accident, and yeah, great record. First Jerry Lee Lewis record on Sun. I've actually not given this a proper listen. I really should. This is the reissue on silver vinyl. It's really cool having that Sun Records logo. Very iconic. A lot of good stuff come out of that label. Well, even though I'm not a big Elvis fan, you know, the stuff that Elvis Presley did at Sun Records, some of the early rockabilly stuff he done, wasn't bad actually, pretty good. Although his later stuff, not really a big fan of. A classic record on Chess, the first Bo Diddley album. This is sort of a midpoint between sort of blues and rock and roll. Excellent record. I mean, Bo Diddley was always sort of a musician's musician. You know, when you listen to one of his records, you notice that a lot of other people has covered his songs already. I mean, Creedence Clearwater Revival did Before You Accuse Me. What else? Captain Beefheart did Diddy Wah Diddy. Townes Van Zandt did Who Do You Love? Yeah, so a lot of musicians have actually covered Bo Diddley's music, and he didn't really get the sort of props that a lot of other musicians did, you know, which is a pity because his music is arguably better than a lot of his contemporaries, you know. It's weirdly hypnotic in a way, you know. You can sort of strum along on one chord, you know. Very good music. What else we've got? Yeah. Roy Orbison. 3 albums he done for Monument. These are all really good records, despite the fact that they are, yeah, more or less a bunch of old material tossed together. These are some of the ones from the MGM years. These are recent reissues. I mean, I've only listened to this one, The Orbison Way, and the pressing on there, it's pretty noisy, which is a pity. But yeah, solid records. What else? Flaming Groovies. Groovy's Greatest Grooves. Excellent band. Sort of power pop, but they also started out as a blues band. They also do they also touch on sort of rock and roll, 50s rock and roll. So it's a nice mixture. I always thought that the bands like the Cars ripped off a lot of their sound. I think a lot of those new wave bands sounded like the Flaming Groovies, but with synths slopped on top. Yeah, excellent band. And Shake Some Action, the first track on there, is one of those songs that should have become a hit but never did, which is crazy. It's got one of the best hooks ever. That sort of chord progression in the opening, absolute killer. What next? AC/DC. Now, I've been listening to a lot of AC/DC recently, and the thing is about their music is, in recent years, it's been sort of pretty dreadful. As much as I understand that sort of Angus Young likes to go on stage dressed in his school uniform and do his duck walking or whatever, I expect he thoroughly enjoys that. I understand, and I know a lot of rock and rollers want to keep on performing, but AC/DC has been sort of pretty crap for the last since the 90s. But their early stuff, everything they did up to about the Razor's Edge, that era, is pretty good. Hell, I don't even mind some of the sort of 80s Wilderness Years albums, but this one is their, I don't know, it's the sort of, not the last one that Bon Scott did, but the one before that, Power Age. Excellent album. It's a fan favourite for sure. Probably my second favourite behind Let There Be Rock. But yeah, great album. And a lot of people said bad things about this pressing, but I mean, if you're an audiophile, maybe it sounds crap, but for non-audiophiles out there, this isn't a bad pressing actually. This is a 2003 one on Columbia. And last but certainly not least, here's a lot of records I bought for one particular artist. Now this band. And this particular band was one that was really, really important to me, for nostalgic reasons. Obviously, it reminded me of being at university back in about the turn of the new millennium and all that. And I used to listen to their records quite a bit, or their first two albums quite a lot. Then I just sort of lost interest for some reason, and that's System of a Down. I bought this record at first, Toxicity. I mean, they had all their albums reissued earlier this month. I re-bought this album. I used to have this on CD back in the day, and I didn't know what to think of it. There was a lot of music that I listened to as a teenager I don't like now, but I was actually really shocked when I listened to this that it still sounds fresh after all these years. It really does. I mean, of course the goofiness sometimes gets a bit on the nose at times, but I mean, I still like their music. They were more or less the Naughties equivalent of Faith No More. I mean, there's 10 a penny Faith No More copies were. They were everywhere, but this group really nailed what made Faith No More a great band. Well, Faith No More and Mr. Bungle, because I'm sure they sort of listened to Mr. Bungle quite a lot as well. So a few days after buying this on vinyl, or a couple of days after, I went to a record shop and bought as many as I could. So I got the follow-up, Steal This Album, which I never actually bought at the time because I thought it was just a collection of rarities for fans. And so I listened to it for the first time and I actually enjoyed it. This is quite a good album. It doesn't feel like a bunch of rarities thrown together. In fact, it was actually a lot of outtakes which didn't fit on the album, and they were put on here. This is a good record actually. Real solid record. I know it sort of fizzles out. The quality sort of fizzles out towards the end, but yeah, really like that. And finally, I got these two, which is sort of a double album. Mesmerized and Hypnotized. They're sort of, I don't know, they're sister albums. So yeah, the first one, Mesmerized, is the best of the two. I really like the track Question on there because it reminds me a bit of Opeth for some strange reason. The mixture of sort of folksy, quite folksy sections with sort of the heavier sections. I love that track. In fact, this is a pretty consistent record all round, and I don't know why it went under my radar when it came out. Although I had to say the follow-up, the sister album, Hypnotized, isn't quite as good, but there is a handful of really good songs on there. I mean, the title track, what are the ones? Kill Rock and Roll, and Lonely Day, are particularly good ones. So yeah, I'm really happy that I rediscovered that band. What else? I found one which I forgot to show. Lastly but not leastly, this is Outlaw by Eugene McDaniels. Eugene McDaniels used to go under the name of Gene McDaniels before he did this. He was a clean-cut soul singer who was reminding me a bit of Roy Hamilton. It's sort of the bridge between sort of rhythm and blues, and soul, and easy listening crooners. Then all of a sudden the 60s came along, you had the civil rights, counterculture and all that, and he sort of got whipped up in that. He did that sort of famous protest song, Compared to What, which was covered by a lot of different artists. And this came out when he sort of came out of retirement, or a long period of inactivity. I don't know if it was retirement. But yeah, this is a great album. It's sort of an obscure gem. One of those ones, it was sort of one of those soul funk albums. It was rediscovered via sampling. And it's quite an eclectic record. Very, very good record. Very underrated. There's, as well as soul funk, you also get jazzier bits. And folk, yeah, it's a bit folky in places, but yeah, really underrated. And another thing is, people who love the Rolling Stones should listen to the track Outlaw on there, where Eugene McDaniels, he sort of perfectly sort of copies Mick Jagger's singing style, and it's hilarious on YouTube where people think it's a Rolling Stones track, or some Great Lost Rolling Stones track. Yeah, great album. This is a really crappy repressing from the early 2000s. Not the best, very crackly, but this will actually do until something better comes along. Really happy to have this. Originals are stupidly expensive, and especially the follow-up to this as well. They're very hard to find. What was it, Headless Horseman of the Apocalypse, which is actually being reissued next month on music on vinyl. So yeah, pretty happy to have that. So that's about it for this Final Finds video. Until next time, goodbye.